Good morning, Cityside, and welcome to this glorious morning. It's actually raining, but it's raining goodness out there, isn't it? And we're going to sing about God being our source. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything that I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Love is my source. Love is my source. Love is my power. Love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything that I need. Joy is my source. Joy is my power. Joy gives me everything that I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything. Don't you want some peace? Peace is my choice. Peace is my power. Peace gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Peace gives me everything. God is my source. Come and sing it. God is my power. God gives me everything that I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need.
Great. Thank you so much, Bobby and Neil. So glad you're here today. Both Bobby and Neil have been with us before, so it's such a gift to have these two great artists with us today. Good morning, Cityside. How is everybody? Yeah, I know. I was telling Amy I got a new laptop, and this morning I was trying to get the printer to work so I could print the script and get here, and it was but I'm here. I've got the script on my phone. All is well, all is good. So just take a breath with me and join me in this beautiful celebration this morning of spirit and connection. So each week you can join us either by live stream on our website, and you can certainly come and visit us in person. And I hope you'll consider coming down here and connecting, because I think a big part of this movement, this exploration of spirit, this exploration of source, it happens in the connections. And so just welcoming you here into the space. And if you're like me and have a little social anxiety, it's fine. You can come and sit in the back. It's no problem. When you're ready to start interacting, it's great. Just come, be supported. And there's some beautiful cake today, so, great treats. You can follow along with us this morning with the Sunday Bulletin, which you can find on the home page of our website, cityside.me. It's a great resource, not only for the program that we'll be going through today, but also lots of other information in there. And of course, as you may tell, if you're live streaming, we are a social media friendly church. So please check in on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is that is your channel to let people know where you are and what's going on and your experience here. We want to share this experiences with as many people as possible. And at Cityside, we are about a practical spirituality that you can use to create the life that you want. We embrace new thought and wisdom teachings and are affiliated with the Centers for Spiritual Living. We honor all paths, which means, whatever it is that's bringing you forward into a deeper understanding of the love, light, joy in your life is welcome here, and we want to support you in that. This is a safe space for you to do that. What we're really about is providing this beautiful, supportive community and connecting to explore our own spiritual path and connect with the spirit within. And this morning, Connie Hodak, our licensed spiritual practitioner, is holding vigil, which is a deep meditative state, and she just holds that so that we can have a container in which we can go deeper. So I just invite you to breathe into that and go deep with me today. June is the theme. Before I move on, I just want to make sure I'm not skipping something. Yep, no, I'm not. Okay. June theme is embracing forgiveness as the path to personal freedom. And Reverend Darrell Jones is here, yay, Darrell, to share his message about acceptance. And so I'm just really excited to hear this because, you know, one of the things that I'm looking at through my work with mental equivalence and my work with releasing limiting beliefs, one of the steps is just accepting what is. And so I'm really excited about this message today. So we're coming back together. So we have a group here in the room, and I want to invite people online to join us. We're going to go back. You may remember this from a while ago. We used to do icebreakers where we would say hello to people in the room. And I really encourage you to say hello to somebody perhaps you don't know. Just say, hi. And just to break the ice so that you're a little bit more comfortable, I always like to give you an icebreaker question. So today's question, because we just had the 4th of July not that long ago, what is your favorite topping on your hamburger or your hot dog? So please say hello to somebody and have at it.
There you go. That's perfect. Need some cheese, I guess.
Can I say French fries? As my hot dog review? I said my Well, I'm of a certain age, and so I was waiting until I was vaccinated. I was one of the. As a matter of fact, I kind of hold on to get it because my doctor called. So I just didn't want to, circumstances. But then when I got my final one, and then for the surgeons to open up, and they typically said all about yes. So hopefully we'll be able to do exactly what he told me.
All right, let's come back together, everyone. We have to get the show on the road. So I wanted to take a minute to share our vision and mission. We always anchor this because we want to keep that front and center in our consciousness. And I know that Keith will share that for the live streamers. And so you can speak it along with me. We envision an empowered community that is living in a world of unconditional love in action. Our mission is to create safe spaces to explore and deepen our faith, grow in spiritual relationship, and connect with our authentic nature.
Good morning, Cityside. I'm Krista Bremberg, one of the licensed spiritual practitioners here. And I'd like to welcome our live streamers and everybody who's here in the room with us. I'm going to do our reading this morning and lead us in a moment of meditation and then speak an invocation for the service today. So the reading today is from Paul Farini's The 12 Steps of Forgiveness. Acceptance is such a simple thing, yet it is the hardest thing that we learn to do. For with acceptance, our ego steps aside. With acceptance, the barriers to love's presence dissolve. This path is the path of acceptance. What you can't accept, you will oppose, and in that opposition will be your bondage. What you accept moves gently through your heart. Nothing pushes you. Nothing holds you back. You move wherever love would have you go. So if you would just turn within and join me in meditation, you can close your eyes or gently soften your gaze and just bring all of your attention to your breath for just a few moments. And in this moment, I recognize that there is one power, there is one light, one love, one wholeness that is the truth of this life. I call this God. I know that this is the truth of my life. I know that this is the energy, the light, the love, the joy, the peace, the community that is breathing me and beating my heart. And I know that that is the same source energy for each of us, that we are all connected to it forever and always, and connected to each other by it. And so it is from that place of oneness that I speak a blessing on today's service, knowing that it is whole, perfect, and complete even as it begins. I bless our music ministry, Neil and Bobby, for the gift of joy that they bring us through their music. I bless Keith and Dom for their management and creation of this technology that brings us all together, whether we are right here or virtual, and creates this beautiful experience. And I bless all of our volunteers for all the hearts and hands and love that goes into putting together this experience for us. I bless our entire community, knowing that your yes to being here creates an opportunity, an opening for you to hear this beautiful message that is going to be delivered today, and to let it have its way with you. Let it work in you and through you. And I bless Reverend Darrell, knowing that this message today is a gift that he receives and gives to us in turn, that there is a connection to Source that he allows to move through him as he teaches and guides and expresses this wisdom today. So grateful for this experience, grateful for the opportunity to be here. I simply call it good, and I let it be, and so it is.
The words I have to say may well be simple, but they're true. Until you give your love, there's really nothing we can do. Love is the opening door. Love is what we've come here for. No one can offer you more. Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen? You say it's very hard to leave behind the life we knew. But there's no other way. You see, it's really up to you. Love is the key we must turn. Truth is the flame we must burn. Freedom, the lesson we must learn. Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen? Love is the key we must turn. Truth is the flame we must burn. Freedom, the lesson we must learn.
Thank you, Bobby. That was a great tune. Have your eyes really seen? Have your eyes really seen? We're going to kind of talk about that today in this idea of forgiveness and the practice of acceptance. Oftentimes we are seeing what we want to see as opposed to what is actually happening. Anyone? Anyone? Yes. We tell ourselves stories, but we'll get to that in a minute. Good morning. Those of you out there, where there may be for you, I do not know, but I know it's the perfect place to be in communion with you. For those of you here, welcome. Good to see faces, full faces, eyes, nose, mouths, ears, toes, all those things. I'm excited to talk about forgiveness, which is, I don't think, something that people get excited to talk about that often. They're kind of like, well, all right. We kind of know that this is a part of our spiritual journey, right? If you've been in this game for a while, or if you're new to it, it kind of smacks you in the face. You have to learn how to forgive. But I get excited talking about it because to me it is the crux of wellness. There is something in the practice of forgiveness that truly, as Reverend Amy talked about last week on 4th of July, frees us. It allows some independence from the things that we trap ourselves with. Embracing forgiveness is a path to personal freedom, the theme this month. And I loved the blurb that Reverend Amy put together to kind of summarize the month. Forgiveness is something that many people struggle with. Anyone? All right. Whether it's for ourselves or others or conditions, when we choose to forgive, we are freeing up our own energy to allow us to move forward. Spiritually, forgiveness helps us to release our sense of separation and experience the present moment more fully. I like to pick up that thought and continue in saying that forgiveness is a process. Forgiveness is a process. Forgiveness is a process. It is not a process that you complete. That's where most of us get tripped up. Aren't I done with this yet? No, you're not, because you're still living, and if you're human, wherever two or more are gathered, forgiveness is available. Even with only one. Me, myself, and I, that's 3 people. Forgiveness is a practice and a habit that we cultivate for our entire life. To stay in the process and practice of forgiveness, a willingness to accept what is critical. What we resist persists. Everyone's heard that phrase probably more than they want, but it's true. However, what we accept opens the door to transformation. So today we're going to explore the power of acceptance as it relates to our emotional, mental, even physiological freedom. And my intention with this talk is that by the end of it, you're ready for life's opportunities to forgive. There's no way that you have to know how to do it. Just be ready for the opportunities that life presents. The book that is focusing this conversation, there's so many authors out there, there's so many books that speak to forgiveness, but in particular, we're exploring the 12 Steps of Forgiveness by Paul Farini. And I really love this book because it was a cornerstone to the beginning of my spiritual awakening. And not only was it a part of my beginning, but it's maintained as a part of my sustenance. Forgiveness, and in particular the way this book presents it, has made forgiveness sustainable and actually has made growth sustainable in my spiritual life. So I'm really excited. Thank you, Amy, for picking that book. The actual talk title for today is The Power of Acceptance. The power of acceptance. There's a tangible, palpable power that you can feel almost immediately when you really accept what is. And to go back to last week with Reverend Amy talking about freedom, and I love that 3 states of consciousness, that we're basically in a consciousness of love, or we're in a consciousness of fear. I'm not one that often for black and white and duality, but if we just kind of like get simple for a minute, if we are not in a space of love, then where are we? Some shade of fear, right? Separation, doubt, fear, worry. What if they do this? What if they don't do that? And the bridge, the other third state of consciousness, kind of the transition space, is forgiveness. So to think of forgiveness as a tool, forgiveness as a way of moving towards love, a way of reacquainting ourselves with this godly state, this spiritual state, I dare say perfect state of love. Our darkness and our dark experiences, our anger and hurt, are callings for the practice of forgiveness. They are indicators that this bridge that Reverend Amy referenced last week, that the bridge is out. So what happens when the bridge is out? You find a path. You find a way back to where you are trying to get to. You find your way to love. The bridge builder back to love, regardless of our age, regardless of our status in life, regardless of any condition, is forgiveness. I want to try to illustrate something because I got to show you. I'll come to that in a minute. All right, stick up a finger, a single finger, and then take your other hand. I'm gonna need my mic stand for this. All right, so you've got one finger up in the air. Take your other hand, clasp around it, and squeeze as tight as you can. And we're gonna do this for a minute here. So just shift your awareness to the finger that's being squeezed. If we were to do this for like 20 or 30 minutes, eventually there would be like no blood flow. The finger would start to like have that pins and needles and numbing. But now shift your awareness to the hand that's clenching. It's getting stiff and tight, probably hurting a little bit if you're really going for it and squeezing. And so just step back, keep the squeezing on the finger. Right now, the finger that's being squeezed is not really getting any benefit. And the hand that's doing the squeezing is not really reaping any benefits either. This is a visceral experience of unforgiveness. Nobody benefits. It just cuts off circulation. Take a deep breath in. Exhale and relax your hand. Feel, a little tight. That is forgiveness. It's a letting go of the things that don't serve you or life. I think there's something to be said, John, you referenced the mental equivalence. And early in my spiritual training, at least, with Science of Mind, there was always a need to understand opposites, right? It's really easy for us to focus on unforgiveness or pain or hurt or wrongness. But then there's the other side of the coin, right? There's love, there's joy, there's acceptance, there's freedom, there's connection, there's interdependence, there's all these other qualities. But sometimes we need to understand the thing that we actually don't want because that's our path of awakening. So I wanted you to have that visceral experience of unforgiveness, that tangible, uncomfortable sense. For whatever reason, that is very normal for most of us. We walk around uncomfortable and tight and holding on to things and literally cinching the blood flow off of our relationships with self, with others, with government, with organization, with people, with God. So before we jump into acceptance, I'm just trying to set up the playing field. Whenever you give a presentation, sometimes if you're trying to sell something, I'm selling you something right now. I'm selling you spirituality. I'm selling you the practice of acceptance, but I want to give you some pain points. If you don't accept, if you don't forgive, that unforgiveness. So you've got the visceral feeling. So if you are in active unforgiveness, here's a couple of symptoms or experiences that you may have. You're experiencing outbursts of anger. You're petty and impulsive. You're desperate to make them understand how you feel. Take a deep breath on that one. Yeah, but if they really understood, then... Okay. You're compulsive. So you can't control other people, but you can clean the mess out of your kitchen. You can clean the mess out of a toilet. You can organize and reorganize your closet again and again. You're unable to reframe your experience. Just can't let it go. Sign of unforgiveness. You're not taking responsibility for your feelings. Got to shake on that one, okay? You're sick. You're physically ill sometimes is a symptom of unforgiveness. You're keeping a list of offenses. Yeah, they did that last time. Yep. Can add that to the list. You're keeping, you find yourself hating yourself. Forgiveness is not just about other people. It's actually more about ourselves, right? You replay the scene over and 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 over. You gossip about them, those people. You're righteous and entitled. Maybe you exercise poor judgment. And you refuse to confide in others. This is, to me, one of the most dangerous, but probably the most palpable, visceral experience of unforgiveness is that withdrawing. When we are really deep in unforgiveness, if I could drop an F-bomb right now, I would. F the world, forget all those people. I'm just going to go over here and take care of myself. So those are some telltale signs that you may be experiencing some unforgiveness. On the flip side of that, there's a study out of the Johns Hopkins Medical Center. So if you don't want to get into the spiritual practice of forgiveness, I think everyone wants better health, yes? Johns Hopkins said that those who actively practice in forgiveness lower the risk of heart attack, they improve cholesterol levels, their sleep tends to be better, they reduce physical pain, their blood pressure goes down, and the experience of depression, anxiety, and stress is not as high. So if nothing else, again, my intention today is that at the end you'll be ready for the opportunities that life is going to afford you to practice acceptance and forgiveness, because that's just going to happen. If you're ready and willing, then each and every opportunity that presents itself gives you an opportunity to lower your blood pressure, to sleep better, to have less stress in your life. Forgiveness to me is one of the most complex things to study and practice. I don't know if it will capture on the screen. Maybe you all will see it here. Anyone ever do mind maps? So I sat down and did a mind map for forgiveness is in the center here, and there's just tons of bubbles. It's like gratitude, denial to acceptance, embracing self, trust, others, life, shoulding, and then there's a big X through it, shame and guilt, the past, the future, unforgiveness, grieving, willingness, anger, blood pressure, health, wrong versus right, dualistic thinking, Loving What Is by Byron Katie, The 12 Steps of Forgiveness, A Course in Miracles, Colin Tipping. And that was just the beginning of the iceberg. Then I actually finished my talk, and if I could show you how many handwritten notes are filling in, I read through it, and it's almost like there's 3 other talks here. Forgiveness is so complex. So first off, get it in your head that forgiveness is not easy. Forgiveness is not meant to be something that you can automate. Forgiveness is not something that you can streamline. Forgiveness is a process that you never complete. It's a process of living. And I share that with you to encourage you, because we set ourselves up in our modern day of performance and things being right and trying to get towards a space of perfection, that we expect ourselves to get to some final destination in forgiveness where life all of a sudden changes. Unless you want to go live by yourself, which Keith pointed out, even being by yourself doesn't help you out of a space of needing to practice forgiveness. It's a part of our living. It's a habit. So let's get into the book. Last week, Reverend Amy focused on what's considered the first cornerstone. He breaks down these 12 steps into cornerstones. So the second cornerstone is finding equality with others. And there's four steps, the middle 4 steps of the 12 in this cornerstone. And I want to just give attention to those. So the first thing that he says, Paul Farini, is that the key to finding our equality with others lies in our individual practice of taking responsibility. And that was the ending, the last part of Amy's talk last week. The 4th step is taking responsibility. So this is a segue now into these other steps. Step number 5 is release self-judgment and guilt. Release self-judgment and guilt. Paul Farini writes that chronic guilt is nothing more than the consistent refusal to take responsibility for recognizing and learning from our mistakes. Chronic guilt is ultimately what shame is, where we stay in a space of guilt, where we make not only the action or thing that we did or didn't do wrong, we make ourselves fundamentally wrong. That's where shame creeps in, or the foundation gets swept from under us. But it arises out of us unwillingly taking responsibility for learning from our mistakes. What if we just took responsibility to go, yep, I screwed up. How did I screw up? Why did I screw up? What was I thinking at that time? And grow from it, as opposed to locking ourselves in the prison of unforgiveness, where our blood pressure goes up, where we don't get good sleep, and on and on. He goes on to say, we cannot begin to forgive ourselves until we realize that all of our darkness is a call for light. And all of our anger and hurt is a call for love. This is definitely the influence of A Course in Miracles on Paul Farini's work, yes? So if love is all that there is, which is one of the core teachings, right, of A Course in Miracles that is bringing forward in these 12 steps, if love is all that there is, then any darkness is not necessarily a bad thing. It's a calling for love to be expressed, but maybe in a way that we've never embraced it before. I just did 2 weddings last weekend, and I pull some theory from A Course in Miracles, and it's what he's speaking to here. It's kind of like the question that I offer to any couple is, what is love calling me to be right now? Regardless of your opinion of what's happening, you don't have to like it, but if you ask yourself, what is love calling me to be? Not what is love calling you or them to be. What is love calling me to be? And you actually listen to what the answer that love offers, you can be pretty sure that you're going to move through whatever situation is there with love, with grace, with God, with Spirit. But let's move on. I want to get all these steps in. Step 6 is accept yourself and others as you are. That's where the acceptance comes from. I'm going to tag that at the end because that's the meat, if you will, or non-meat for those who don't eat meat for today. Step 7 is be willing to learn and share. He wrote, without interaction, our 2 separate selves would never understand God's love. So this is where it gets kind of funky and twisted. I made the joke tossing, to the scripture, I think it's John, wherever 2 or more are gathered in my name, God is there, right? Jesus says that to people. But wherever 2 or more are gathered, there's all types of shenanigans that go on. So the very thing, interaction, connecting and sharing, is the thing that gives us an opportunity to forgive, right? If we are in a state of fear, oftentimes we get by ourselves and we withdraw. All we need to do is talk to, if you just were to share with someone, I'm scared right now, the building of the bridge starts to go back to love. So to learn and to share and be willing to do so is so beneficial. Step 8 is be your own authority. Paul Farini writes, authority comes directly out of our own experience. It says, I honor my life. I accept what is true for me, even if it's not true for others. So when we say be your own authority, what we mean is to learn to be with who you truly are and learn to see others as they truly are. Practice equality. Learn from inequality. So he's not saying there's going to be this perfect equal state. Anyone that does diversity, equity, and inclusion work knows that equality is a state, but it doesn't necessarily mean equity. So we need to learn from this inequality, we need to learn from this inequity, and accept the process, he says. Forgiveness is a process. Use this opportunity to align and to grow. Okay, let's get to step 6, because I've only got 5 minutes left, and we got a lot to cover. The power of acceptance is about honoring what is in the moment and also accepting what is ours to own when it comes to our responsibility. It's also accepting when we are overstepping our bounds and attempting to take responsibility for someone else's life. Many times we will try to do that. We will overstep and try to take responsibility for someone else's life, for someone else's experience. But it's not yours, it's theirs. Let them have it. Just think for a moment right now. There's someone in your life, whether you don't have to interact with them. In your mind, you might be trying to take responsibility for them, right? Whether it's someone in government, whether it's a TV personality, whether it's a family member, you're just like, oh man, if they just need, and you get into this whole thing of like what they need to do. Let them be for a minute. Take a deep breath and let them go. And immediately your blood pressure will go down. Your life will get better. The opportunity to go back to love, the bridge is being built. And many times people will try to take responsibility for you. So it goes both ways. Remember that it is your life. This is taking authority for yourself. Don't give your power away. Don't let someone else own your forgiveness. They can't. Only you can. To go back to the reading that Krista brought from this step 6, acceptance is a simple thing, yet it is the hardest thing we will learn to do. For with acceptance, our ego steps aside. With acceptance, the barriers to love's presence dissolve. This path is the path of acceptance. It is the path of forgiveness. When you can't accept, you will oppose. When you can't accept, you will push away. You will oppose. And that opposition will be your bondage. I'm not one for violent language, but I think it actually serves here because the implications of unforgiveness is bondage. It is putting ourselves, not anyone else, ourselves in prison. It is putting shackles on our own ankles and arms. No one else can remove that prison than you. No one else. So to accept, and this acceptance is not about liking things. So here's a couple of things to take into mind. We want to like everything. And if we don't like it, then we don't want it. That's not the way forgiveness works. That's not the way acceptance works. You don't have to like it, but you need to recognize and honor what is happening there. Whether it's the response that someone has had towards you, whether it is a response that you had towards someone, just accept it and honor and recognize what it is. The process of acceptance requires us to slow down. And this is a huge thing for us in our modern world today. We have artificial intelligence doing so much to streamline our life, and I'm all for it. I think it's awesome. But you cannot hack and automate your spiritual growth. You cannot hack and automate your forgiveness. You have to accept where you are, where life is. I mean, you don't have to, but if you want to forgive, it is the crux of opening the door. And you have to slow down to do that. You can't just graze over it. You know, we call it the spiritual bypass. We need to stop and honor what's there. And then lastly, acceptance does not equate approval. Just because you accept something as it is doesn't mean you have to like it. You don't have to accept and approve of someone's behavior, but if somehow you're telling yourself a story that they may do something differently, when, embracing reality, this is the practice. So what do I need to accept then? What do I need to forgive? How should I accept? There isn't a singular way to do it. The beauty is that life will give us opportunities every single day to be in practice. All we need is a willingness to embrace and accept those opportunities as opposed to resist them. In doing some research, I know I've got to wrap up here. If you are not in a state of acceptance, you are in a state of denial. And someone created a nice little acronym out of the word denial. Don't even know I am lying. Don't even know or notice I am lying. When you don't notice that you're lying to yourself, that's denial, right? To shift to acceptance, we lift the veil of the lies that we are telling ourselves so that we can see what is actually there. Forgiveness is consciously deciding to let go of hurt. That's it. If you just say, I choose to start letting go of hurt in my life, you're accepting that hurt is in your life, and by the fact that you've recognized it, all of a sudden a little bit dissipates. It's like taking your hand off of the finger. When you let go of that grip, all of a sudden something opens up. So what do? First off, we slow down. We take a deep breath. We welcome some compassion. We welcome empathy. We welcome kindness. We welcome love into ourselves. Forgiveness is not about receiving an apology from someone. It's not. Forgiveness is not about reconciliation, even. Forgiveness is something you do for you and nobody else. Everyone else will get the benefit of it, but the reason, ideally, the motivation for forgiveness should be for yourself. No one else needs or deserves your forgiveness but you in any situation. All right, we're getting close to the end here. 2 ideas I want to bring in. One is if you've ever done any grief work, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross says that the 5 stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. It's not a linear movement. You swirl around those. So if you're in the process of forgiveness, you are in the process of grieving. Why? Because if we are forgiving something, we're letting go of what was, whether it was something that we loved about someone or something that we didn't love about someone, whether it's loving something about ourselves in the past, oh my gosh, I wish, or hating something about yourself. When you let go of something and stop trying to control it, you have to grieve the loss of the letting go. And in that, you get angry. You deny, you lie to yourself. You go through all these things, but somewhere in that mix, acceptance comes in. And that's where things open up. Byron Katie, just close your eyes for this one. Take a deep breath in. Byron Katie, accepting what is, stated this: when you become a lover of what is, the war is over. When you become a lover of what is. The war is over. End the wars of your life starting right now. There's a few phrases that we're going to take into a brief meditation here, borrowing from the practice of loving kindness. Say these phrases quietly in your own mind, repeating after me. May I be willing to accept life as it is. May I be willing to accept others as they are. May I be willing to accept myself as I am. I am willing to accept life as it is. I am willing to accept others as they are. I am willing to accept myself as I am. I accept life as it is. I accept others as they are. I accept myself as I am. Right here and right now, accepting yourself as you are is accepting the divine expression of God that is, that has always been, and will always be. Nothing needs to change for that magnificent brilliance to continue expressing other than acceptance. Forgive yourself for all of the shoulding, woulding, and coulding on your heart, mind, and soul, and the impact that it has not only on your spiritual well-being, but your mental, your emotional, and your physical well-being. Right now, accept yourself as you are. You are a brilliant, intelligent, wise, loving, creative, imaginative space of possibility for the divine to co-create with you. Unmuddy the waters. Unclog the pathway of that creativity and allow God to do what it does best, and that is to love you as you are. Partner with the universe in that love. Accepting. And so we thank this moment of acceptance, knowing that it has been the perfect door opener for brilliance and magnificence to come. And so it is. Peace and blessings and acceptance to you all.
Great. Thank you so much, Reverend Darrell. Power talk. Power talk. Take a breath. Oh, my goodness. Take it all in. So now we come to our time of offering. This is yet another spiritual practice. I like to think of this as a spiritual practice. We do a few together as a community every Sunday, and this is one of them. And you know, we talk a little bit about where the funds are being used, and I'm not going to really get into that. I think we had a community meeting not long ago. We had charts, and safe to say, and I feel very comfortable saying that the leadership is being very good stewards of this money. No one person is being personally enriched here, but we are enriching this community through these services. And so I just invite you to consider that. And the other thing I would just say, for me, the reason I give is because I remind myself, it's a practice that I remind myself that that this experience of giving, this experience of sharing with Cityside is an experience, is an action of love. And I know that I am never poorer when I invest in love. So I just invite you to invest in love this morning. You can give in a few different ways. The most common way is text to give. You can text the word give to 312-757-8255. 8111. 312-757-8111. It's on the screen if you're live streaming. It's right here. Oh, it was. Oh, yeah, it's right there on the little stand if you're here in person. It will text you instructions if this is your first time. You set it up with a payment, credit card, what have you, and then you can just text the amount each week. If you need to change the card or some information, just text the word update, and you can update whatever you had put in previously. You can also give through our website, which I think is also a very easy way to do it. So visit our website, cityside.me, and give there. So I just want to take a breath and let everybody do their gift. If you want to hold that gift in consciousness with me now, we're going to say our giving affirmation, just to hold that abundance in mind. And there's a word in here that I invite you to just play with this week. It's multiplies. So just play with that word this week in terms of how is it multiplying for you. So together we say, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am.
Will your heart and soul say yes? Will your spirit still say yes? There is more that I require of thee. Will your heart and soul say yes? Yes.
Good morning, Cityside. I'm Reverend Amy Daniels. I'm the spiritual director here. E.T. told me I have to introduce myself. I know you guys know who I am, but he told me I had to introduce myself. So the reason I'm up here is we have a special announcement this morning that I'm very excited about. You know, we've been working for several months to expand our board, and if you're not familiar with what the board does, it's really about governance for the center and really about the business of the center. The board doesn't run the center day to day, but the board really helps with some of the important initiatives. Like right now, we're very focused on growing our membership. We're looking at our space and how we might create space that works better for us. We are working on launching youth and family. That's not specifically a board thing, but it was one of our priorities. And then over time, we'll be working on growing our resources so we can do some of these things. So we have two new people who are joining the board, so I want to ask them to come up. They know who they are. But Amy Hollander and Jeffrey Gross are joining the board, and I'm very excited about both of them because they're both very strong financially and also bring some other past board experience and some real estate related experience. And I think the other thing I would say about both of you is you're both huge supporters of Cityside, both in your service, in your giving, and also just really strong on your own spiritual paths, really in practice and taking our teaching seriously. So I personally could not be more thrilled to have you two join the board, and I just want to say thank you to both of you. So please join me in congratulating them. Okay, so now I'm going back on the script. If ET's watching me right now, he's like, you didn't follow it. But I didn't want to start losing people before I made the announcement. So if you're joining us for the first time today, we want to welcome you and thank you for blessing us with your presence. Please subscribe on the header of our website to join our mailing list so you'll know what's going on every week. And if you consider Cityside your spiritual home, we would love to have you affirm your membership by going to the My Cityside page of the website. There you can read more about membership and fill out the form. And the reason it's important is because of our affiliation with CSL. It's in our bylaws. We are a community where members get to vote when we undertake big things. So hopefully when we're ready to move, things like that. Special thanks to our creative team for making today's service possible. So excited to have Neil and Bobby here, and you were wonderful. Thank you so much. Keith and Dom, keep it all going online. Krista, Connie, John, Ted, Reverend Linda, and Reverend Darrell. Thank you so much for your wisdom. So next week, Linda is going to continue this conversation of forgiveness. Embracing forgiveness as a path to personal freedom, so can't wait to hear her take on it. And finally, if you do need prayer today, I know that Krista will be offering prayer, and if we need another practitioner to pray, I'm sure someone will step in and help. So just find Krista or another practitioner, and they will pray with you, or you can also fill out a prayer request on the website. And a practitioner will call you and pray with you. And so I think that's it. So until next week, have a great week, everyone.
Oh, you hear that beat? Don't you want to clap your hands a little bit? Your love is lifting me higher than I've ever been lifted before. So keep it up, quench my desire, and I'll be at your side forevermore. Because your love keeps lifting me, keeps on lifting me higher and higher, higher. Your love keeps lifting me, lifting me higher and higher, higher. Now once I was downhearted, disappointment was my best friend. But then truth came and it departed, and you know it never showed its face again. Because your love is lifting me higher, lifting me, it's lifting me higher and higher, higher. Your love is lifting me, lifting me higher and higher, higher. Go out and make it a great world, Cityside.